Welcome to the Random Ramblings podcast. I'm Ronan, your host on this journey through life's everyday moments. Each week we explore a variety of topics, from personal reflections and everyday experiences to thought-provoking discussions on life's nuances. Whether you're seeking insight, connection, or simply a moment of contemplation, you're in the right place. Let's dive into today's episode. Hey there, and welcome to the Random Ramblings podcast. I'm your host Ronan, and today we're diving into a topic that's close to many of our hearts, and that's how to be a people person. Now let me be upfront, I don't have all the answers. Like many of you, I've had my fair share of awkward encounters and missed connections, but through experiences, conversations, and a little bit of research for this episode, I've gathered some insights that might help us all connect a little bit better. So, what does it actually mean being a people's person? It's not about being the loudest in the room or the life of every party. It's about connecting with others in meaningful ways, showing genuine interest, and building relationships based on trust and empathy. I've read, I did a bit of research for this episode, and one of the quotes that popped up was from a famous psychologist by the name of Dr. Howard Gardner, and he refers to this as interpersonal intelligence, which is the ability to understand and interact effectively with others. This brings to mind skills that we could really develop to become good people persons, which include things like active listening, empathy, and effective communications. So in today's episode, I would like to aim in giving some practical steps to enhance your people skills and all of that, just to, for all of us just become better people's persons. So let's explore first some practical steps to become more adept at connecting with others. The first thing you want to do is be a good active listener. Often we're so focused on what we'll say next that we forget to truly listen. We need to try to be present in conversations. One of the main things that I don't see many people do is maintain eye contact. That's the worst when you're speaking to someone and they're not looking at you and looking maybe at side to side or other things. It really makes you feel like they're not listening to what you're saying, and I do think other people feel the same way. So, you want to keep good eye contact and really try to be present in those conversations to show that you really are engaged. This not only makes others feel valued, but also deepens your understanding. You also want to show genuine interest. Ask questions about people's interests, experiences, and perspectives. You also want to remember the small details, like someone's favorite hobby or recent achievement. This can go a long way in building a rapport. People will ask you sometimes questions later down the line of something that they said, and it's always awkward if you don't remember some of those details, especially if it's a thing that's really important to someone. So I think, you do want to try and show genuine interest if you want to build a rapport with someone. And even if they're tedious conversations, it's often important to be interested, to some degree. Now, the next point here is, in college, I really tried to, I came from South Africa, I came to study in the United States. I wanted to get more friends. I didn't have many friends coming here. So I was, I just tried to stay in my sport, but I wasn't really getting a lot of people contact, and I'm a very social person, so I started feeling a little bit lonely. But one of the things I started doing is joining clubs and organizations, and this really helped me find like-minded people and find a connection with a lot of people. And I can speak out to all the university students out there, and I'm sure it's similar to all other jobs and offices and all that stuff, even in school, is that most of these places offer a plethora of clubs and societies. Joining one aligned with your interests can provide a comfortable environment to meet, like I said, to meet like-minded individuals. These groups not only offer social and community benefits, but I believe also provide valuable experiences and networking opportunities that can last a lifetime. And I can really speak to this, as this is how I met many of my friends, and especially many of the important people in my life. Adding on this, you also want to attend some social events. Even if you maybe not the most social, you don't have to go to every social event out there. Some of us, I like staying at home playing my PlayStation sometimes. That's not bad. But you do want to, if you want to be a good people's person and build that confidence and meet some like-minded individuals, you want to try, like let's say university, you want to go to dorm gatherings, to campus workshops. These events are opportunities to meet new people. Even if it's a bit of out of your comfort zone, attending can lead to unexpected connections. Engaging in campus activities can also help combat feelings of loneliness and foster a sense of belonging. This is very similar to the workplace, I believe, as, attending those happy hours, being in, I'm part of the social planning committee in my office, and, I really am meeting like-minded individuals, and I feel like I am fostering a sense of community, and it's an amazing feeling, and, really makes the day productive and makes you look forward to things from day to day. The next thing you want to do is be open and approachable. Simple gestures like smiling, making eye contact, and keeping your phone away during conversations can signal that you're open to an interaction. You want to be friendly. You don't want to speak to someone who's super upset all the time. Just putting on a smile, really makes you open for people to want to speak to you. The next thing is something that I really try to pride myself in, and that is you want to encourage others to share. While it's natural to want to share about ourselves, it's equally important to give others the space to express themselves. I did a course in high school, and I've read the book, and I think you guys should all read the book. I think it's an amazing book. It's called Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. But in the book, it's emphasized that to be a good listener, encourage others to talk about themselves. People really feel valued when they're heard, and this fosters deeper connections. Like he says in the book, people like speaking more about themselves than they do want to hear of you. So I do think it's important. Yes, speak about yourself, be proud of what you're doing, and you want to build that connection. They also want to hear about what you're doing. That conversation can lead to that, but you also want to engage the other listener in the conversation by also listening to them and asking them questions and encouraging them to share their story or share their part of the conversation, as that'll make the other person in the conversation just be more actively engaged. The next point is we want to embrace curiosity. We want to, I think the coolest thing to do is approach conversations with a genuine desire to learn about others. You want to ask about open-ended questions and so show interest in their responses. I believe this really not only makes interactions more engaging, but also helps, discover more common ground that future conversations, or just to make that, present conversation just go over a bit smoother. The next thing you want to do is practice small talk. Engaging in light, casual conversations can be a great way to build rapport. Commenting on shared experiences or surroundings can serve as a natural icebreaker. Now, what I mean by this is building connections with people sometimes just comes down to a matter of confidence and being able to keep the conversation going. It's always awkward when you start speaking to someone and there's nothing to talk about and everyone just sits there in silence. You want to practice small talk by kind of like, let's say you're playing paddle tennis in your local neighborhood, and you see someone playing paddle tennis well next to you, and maybe this is a time to make a friend, or you see them wearing a t-shirt of a cool business or something. You want to engage maybe in a light conversation, like say, hey, oh my gosh, it's super hot out here, or, I noticed you work for that company that's on your shirt, what do you guys do and stuff, and smile, and that'll build the confidence to, really reach out to unknown people, and you're going to strike a connection there, speaking to someone, and it could be a lifelong friend or lifelong acquaintance, or someone that can help you in your life, or, to foster a sense of community with that person. And I think that's a very important thing, and something that can really go a long way. Now, I'm referring back to Dale Carnegie again, and that is the power of a name. One of the most profound insights I've come across in my journey to connect better with people does come from the teachings of Dale Carnegie. He famously said that remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Think about it. When someone remembers your name, especially after just one meeting, doesn't make you feel seen and valued. It's a small gesture, but it carries immense weight. But let's be real, remembering names can be challenging, especially in a bustling university environment or workplace. Carnegie suggested a method to help with this. We can listen carefully by paying close attention to how someone introduces themselves. We can repeat their name, use their name multiple times in conversation to reinforce your memory. I think that also makes the other person more active in the conversation. But let's say you speak to someone named Michael, say, oh, hey, Michael. We should hang out sometime. Your name's Michael again, right? And, oh, this is my friend Michael. So by them knowing that you've remembered their name and saying it out loud makes them more actively engaged. And I do see this in my day-to-day. You want to make an association with their name. You want to link their name to something familiar to you, like a friend or a famous personality. I think Michael will be a bit hard, because I think there's a lot of Michaels, so maybe that was not a great example there, and then you'll remember it pretty easily. But for instance, if you meet someone named, let's think of an uncommon name like Melody, you might associate her name with a favorite song. These little tricks can make a difference. Remembering a person's name is sacred to someone, so that's important to remember. Now, the next part I want to talk about is navigating difficult interactions. I've been in many of these, so I'm not an expert at this, but I feel like I've learned some tips that have helped me navigate these difficult times and interactions a little bit better, and I feel like can really help you. To delve deeper in those challenging moments when someone isn't at their best, perhaps they're curt, dismissive, or just having a rough day, it's natural to feel unsettled or even defensive in such situations. However, this is where empathy becomes a powerful tool. Again, I'm referencing Dale Carnegie, but I think those teachings are important. He emphasized the importance of understanding others' perspectives. He believed that instead of criticizing or condemning, we should strive to understand. Everyone has off days, and often their behavior isn't a reflection of you, but of something they're dealing with. In such situations, a simple act of kindness can go a really long way. Maybe it's offering a listening ear, a kind word, or just giving them space. Remember, being a people person isn't always about being cheerful. It's about being understanding and supportive, even when it's challenging. Here's some points that I feel like that I've just written down here that always helps me through these difficult times and interactions is we want to, again, practice active listening. Active listening is more than just hearing words. It's about fully engaging with the speaker. This involves giving them your undivided attention, and again, as I say, maintaining eye contact and providing feedback that shows you understand their message. By doing so, you're validating their feelings and creating a space where they feel heard and respected. Now, to go further on validating their feelings, acknowledging someone's emotions doesn't mean you agree with their behavior, but it does show empathy, and that empathy is a powerful tool. Phrases like, "I can see why you'd feel this way," or that "this must be really tough for you," can help de-escalate tension and really foster understanding and help the situation move forward. You also want to set healthy boundaries. While empathy is crucial, it's equally important to protect your own well-being. If someone's behavior becomes constantly toxic, it's okay to set boundaries. This might mean limiting interactions or seeking support from a trusted friend or counselor. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. The next, and I think the last one, is you want to reflect and learn from all of these interactions. And, after a difficult interaction, take time to reflect. Ask yourself, what triggered my response? Could I have handled it differently? This self-awareness can lead to personal growth and better handling of future situations. Navigating challenging interactions isn't easy, but with empathy, active listening, self-awareness, we can turn these moments into opportunities for deeper connection and understanding. Now, the weirdest thing, and I've got so many connections just from doing this, I think just a simple greeting has so much power. Sometimes the simplest gestures can have the most profound impact. A warm smile, a friendly hello, or a nod of acknowledgement can brighten someone's day and open the door to meaningful connections. Research has shown that brief positive encounters with strangers can boost our mood and sense of connection. These small interactions activate the brain's reward system, releasing those feel-good hormones like oxytocin, and reduces stress levels. In our daily routines, whether it's grabbing coffee, attending class, or even commuting to work, taking a moment to acknowledge those around us can foster a sense of community and belonging. It's a reminder that we're all part of a larger social fabric. Now, I want to end off this episode. I think the most important of all is you want to embrace authenticity. One of the most valuable lessons I've learned is the importance of authenticity. Trying to fit into a mold or pretending to be someone you're not can be exhausting and counterproductive and take up a lot of RAM in your brain, again making you tired and counterproductive. Embrace who you are and you'll attract people who appreciate the real you. You want to get friends that appreciate you. You don't want to be someone that you're not. So yes, I don't have the answers to everything. Take all my advice of, all these things of being a better people's person. But, be yourself. You only want to be associated with people that in reality are like-minded, similar to you, or of similar mind, and, that you can enjoy your life with them. That's the whole point of connections. But yeah, to wrap up, becoming a people's person isn't about changing who you are. It's about enhancing your ability to connect, empathize, and build meaningful relationships. It's a big journey of growth filled with learning experiences. But thank you so much for joining me of this episode of Random Ramblings. If you found this discussion helpful, consider sharing it with a friend, or leaving a review. We're just starting off in our early days, so a review would be awesome. Even I'll say what those YouTubers say, like and subscribe. But until next time, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much for listening.